Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Wednesday, July 6th at 11:59 a.m. A little late, but we're at the party. The Federation and its derivatives. So, yesterday I talked about a couple of points in Twitter posts about the various narratives that are in the crypto space. The notion of hard money, the notion of scarcity, the whole NFT insanity. They're meaningful and they're historic and they play into supply and demand balance. Obviously, if there's a demand exceeds supply, there's going to be a price appreciative pressure on the price action. Um, and that just reduces to Bitcoin from a crypto perspective. That reduces to gold from a traditional finance perspective. But and then you get into what is the rate of supply increases and the nuances of the hard money narrative, and also the like Bitcoin advocates versus gold, how the trust of the producers and how the gold market is manipulated with regard to paper contracts that just are not representative of the quantity of supply, so it's a leveraged market. And in reality, I mean, the dollar is scarce. Dollar bills are scarce. Everything that most people complain about regarding the dollar and is manifested because of consumer price inflation, and that isn't really because of excess dollars. Dollars are scarce. It's the derivatives, it's the leverage, it's what the banking system has created. So that's really a manifestation of like what the gold market has created with the paper contracts. The banks don't hold dollars, so every dollar that is on the books with regard to a deposit is is the money creation process of the commercial banking system. In regards to like euro dollars, there's a collateral that's posted that's dollar denominated, and then you have this instrument that is of a dollar value. It's like when I talk about the derivatives market being $600 trillion. There's not that many bonds in existence. It's only $50 trillion worth of bonds, but there's $600 trillion worth of derivatives. So, what's my point? My point is, what's most meaningful to look at? Now, there's meaningfulness to Bitcoin, and it's especially meaningful outside of the U.S. It's the same narrative as we historically digested with regard to gold, scarcity, and in the face of hyperinflation, that's meaningful. So the different narratives have different meaning in different parts of the planet, and I never mean to discredit or put down a narrative, especially when it has a very meaningful place outside of my frame of reference, outside of my worldview, and my worldview must be relative to myself, my subjectivity from the U.S. It's where I live, and that's my life. So I just don't find much interest in the Bitcoin narrative or the scarcity of an asset's narrative. I don't see that as the most meaningful thing to have come being presented to us from the crypto space over the last several years. What I find to be the most interesting and most profound offering is enterprise, is disintermediated, decentralized enterprise that has no people, no debt, no operating expenses, no nothing. It's just a business that operates, it generates revenue, and that revenue goes to different places in a deterministic fashion. So we started the stream talking about various narratives. We're trying to assess them. Everyone's going to have their subjective opinion. Oh, I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. I'm an Ethereum maximalist. I'm a Cosmos maximalist? I don't know. There's plenty of different maximalists floating around out there. But one thing I like about the enterprise narrative is that it spans everything. It spans all the blockchains, including Bitcoin. Because all it is the smart contract. And you can have various blockchains execute the smart contract. You got Bitcoin EVM blockchains. Syscoin is secured by Bitcoin. It's what it is. It's been like that for years. But it runs Ethereum smart contracts. rootstock as well. So, what blockchain secures the execution of these EVM style contracts, even Cardano for that matter, I could care less. I'm an EVM or I'm a smart contract maximalist because of what it offers from an enterprise standpoint. And that's the biggest thing that I find exciting. Maybe it's because of my history, my subjective history being burned in equities, being burned by boards and business. There's none of that in crypto, in smart contracts. There's no board. Sure, with some of the contracts, you have the DAOs, but there's no board, centralized board in the protocols that I find most interesting. The most interesting protocols are very simple and they're few and far between. Folks have historically said, why do I find Curve the most interesting protocol? It's created a federation, which has garnered the attention of other protocols to such a degree that there's now a federation of protocols. Curve at the center, with the federation surrounding it. And they all act in concert, supporting one another, interacting with one another, and one of the most interesting and strongest protocols to interact with Curve, building its own federation, is Frax. This just is what it is. It's not like I just want to have one asset in the portfolio or I want to have a top heavy portfolio with one specific asset being the majority of the portfolio. Show me another asset that has built a federation like this. I don't give a shit about price points. Someone would say, like, what about Arbitrum ecosystem? What's hot over there? Curve. Show me the Phantom ecosystem. What's hot over there? Curve. Show me the Avalanche ecosystem. What's hot over there? Curve. What's the hottest thing on the protocols? Federation. Federated protocols working together, acting in concert towards a coordinated enterprise activity. That's the biggest thing in crypto for me, and that's my subjective opinion. Now, do I understand the other narratives? Do I understand the Bitcoin and the scarcity narrative? Sure. I hold a little bit of Bitcoin. I use it as cash. If someone wants to accept Bitcoin as payment for something, I need to have Bitcoin. So that's the reason. So I have Bitcoin for the right reason. People hold the Bitcoin expecting it to appreciate it. It's going to appreciate over the coming years. That's what most people believe, and I believe that as well. I just think other things will appreciate significantly more. The Ethereum narrative is very hard to. It's not dismiss. Dismiss is the wrong word, but it's very hard for me to not want to just deploy a lot of capital to Ethereum because super scarce, as in deflationary. I mean, that's an extraordinary monetary policy. There will be less and less of it available on a daily basis. That's crazy after the merge. So it's very hard for me to resist deployment to that narrative. I just, again, don't think it's the biggest thing in the crypto space. I think when Ethereum is mature in the coming decade, EVM, not Ethereum specifically, maybe it's another blockchain, as EVM draws in more and more capital over the years because it's disintermediated and deterministic. The protocols will be larger than the networks. They'll be valued at more than the networks. That's what I see. That's what I believe. It's almost empirical. Doesn't it make sense that if trillions of dollars of capital flow in, it's going to be using the networks for the financial activity, the capital flow, the monetary velocity is not going to be just sitting in Ethereum. So it's just going to be sitting, doing nothing. It's going to be wanting to work. It's going to be wanting to participate or capture some of the capital flow. And that is just obvious, and that's my opinion, but it's also quite observable and quantitative. We see this activity, and anyway, so that's why my attention is where it is, and why I talk about this subject as much as I do. So there's other federations. There's no reason to not speculate on the other federations, except lindiness, meaning the longer technology is around, is alive, exists, the more likely it is to continue to exist. So if you speculate on another federation, of which there's literally only one, and for a while, in 2021, Beethoven was hot and it was building a bit of a federation on Phantom, but it was very isolated on Phantom. So what happened is, Gut says, very high level. I don't know the nuances, and I may not be 100% correct, but it's been wrapped into the Balancer Federation. And obviously, that Balancer Federation is being pulled together very nicely by Aura. But Beethoven and Balancer on Optimism, what they've done, it's just very obvious. It's either something is really, really damn obvious or it's not. And to me, it's very obvious that everything's pulling together. It's gravitating. That's the beauty of when you see organizations form like this. They're very celestial, astronomical. Like they behave like gravity, and gravitational force attracts other things to go around it, and that's what is happening with these participants in this federation. And we see it. We see the participants in the Balancer Federation that's really being driven by what Aura is doing, and that's exactly what happened with Convex and Curve. It's the same phenomena, same process, but it's has less lindiness. It hasn't been around, so hasn't been time tested, mother approved. It's not there yet, so it's more speculative, meaning there's more risk out on when you go out on the curve, when you are trying to allocate capital to something that is less tested. Increase risk, increase reward. So that's that situation. There's only two. There's only two federations in the entire crypto space thus far. And what do I always say? I always also say, let's make less money. Oh, for the newcomers to the stream. What a whoa, whoa. We're not here to make more money. We're here to make less money. We're here to make more predictable money. Money that is more likely to actually occur, to actually become income rather than, all right, I'm probably going to make a lot of money, or I'm possibly going to make no money, or I'm possibly going to lose money. I want to make more predictable money. So all of these roads, all of this rationale, all of this logic point me just to the Curve Federation. Now, I obviously diversify a bit and I dabble, and you guys know we talk about it. I have a small cheat-out position. The fixed Forex is still hanging around, which is very nice. Base VE Bow is actually, I looked at the revenue from base VE Bow, just vote locked Bow. No, vote locked VE Bow. It's actually quite productive. It actually produces a decent cash flow. So and I'm still digesting the Balancer Federation, and I do have a pretty much. I bought a cheap VL Aura position, or a vote locked, half the price that it is now. So I'm content with that. But right now, it's basically equal. Vote locked Aura and vote locked VE Bow, and I just don't have enough conviction or confidence to deploy to one or the other. And I see the correlation between Convex and Curve and Aura and Balancer, and I'm probably leaning right about now to more vote lock VE Bow. But it's just not what Curve is. Curve's got 5 bill in TVL. It's just got such a history that's been built up over the last 2 years. And it has the momentum, it has the moat, and the Federation is there. And that Federation involves fracs with the frac space pools. And that's just tantalizing. There's nothing else like it. There comes a time when you find conviction in something, and it's not just random conviction. Oh, hey Joe, should I buy Bitcoin? When should I buy Bitcoin? Is it going up? Is it going down? Do I have hope that it's going to go up? No, I mean, I don't care if Curve stays $1 for the next 10 years if there's $50 billion a day in transaction fees. You see my point? This isn't about appreciation. This is about just ownership of a part of the revenue stream. If we're getting transaction fees on 50 bill a day in transactions, I don't care about the price of curve. I just want to own a part of those transaction fees. You know what I'm saying? That'd be juicy transaction fees. Woo! So that's my general sentiment, especially in the bear market, where folks are very much more tempted to go out on the risk curve, which is strange, because during the bull market, I guess we're all running around frantic, trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Capital's flying everywhere. Woo! There it goes. 10 grand. Woo! There it went. I mean, it's just wild during a bull market. I've seen these a couple of times. They'll be back, by the way. That's easy money mode. Easy money mode will be back. It's destiny. That's why we follow macro nowadays to see when it's coming. But it's very risky to deploy capital during a bear market. But bear in mind, if you bought certain things in December 2019, woo! I mean, even if you bought Bitcoin in December of 2019, the depths of the bear after the September 2019 repo market crisis. That was a 20x on the money just on Bitcoin. Ethereum did even better. So it's hard to choose also. Very, very tempting by the merge, the Ethereum merge, and what it does to the tokenomics. But what's the significance of it? Securing the network. There's plenty of people securing the network. I don't need to contribute to securing the network. It's and 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 it's not even just Ethereum. That half the problem of me deploying to Ethereum is I'm not a maximalist. I believe in EVM. I believe in the contracts. What the biggest thing that Buterin created was solidity. And the concept of a deterministic piece of software that executes, that cannot be changed, that's immutable. That's the biggest thing. And clearly it's meaningful. You need the network. So the Ethereum network spawned all these other chains, all these other um, varying degrees of disintermediation, the decentralization. But he started all this, so that's meaningful. But does that mean the best place to deploy capital is to just the Ethereum asset? I would argue it's not going to outperform the most, or it's not going to serve my needs exactly what I'm looking for. And that's why I focus so much on Curve. And everyone's like, this. You can imagine how many people say to me, "Why do you focus so much on one asset?" Because I've identified it to me subjectively as well as quantitatively that it's the optimal asset to represent what I'm looking to achieve. And there's few. Most folks scramble with all the assets. Most won't remain after this bear market. Most will be gone. Either even great technology will not succeed. If it has poor monetary policy, the price of the token's done. It's dead. There's no coming back after hyperinflation. There's no coming back. There's no rebirth like a phoenix. Yeah, if it's good tech, you'll have to pivot. You have to relaunch the token. You have to implement a proper monetary policy using the tech, and that's okay. That's not horrible, but it'll be a new token. It's a relaunch, a rebrand. So I don't want to chase that rabbit hole. I want to do less work. I want to find the gem, the diamond in the rough that makes the most sense rationally, and sit and have it work. And so far, this entire bear market curve has been remarkably performant. It's done exactly what I hoped it would do. It's done more than I ever hoped it could do. And that's extraordinary. In a sea of garbage in the equity space with boards that take advantage of people and issue debt left and right, and share issuance that dilutes people and dilutes their dividends. What a tragedy. That's horrible. You didn't vote. If you had shares of a company, you didn't vote for the board to issue more debt, or maybe few actors, the largest owners, to issue more debt to buy out another company. Oh, it's in the best interest. Did my dividends double? These corporations, I don't want people involved. That's the biggest thing. I don't want people involved. I want smart contracts. I want to know the exact behavior. That is the behavior. There's no changing the behavior. This is what you do. This is how you do it. That's it. I don't want to deal with other people on the other end. And that's why I don't like stocks as much as the crypto space. And it's actually very in particular the deterministic smart contracts, the ones like Andre talks about that don't have a proxy contract. They have no upgrade path. They cannot be changed. They cannot be turned off unless there's a vote, a decentralized vote. And there's a lot of owners, and there's plenty of votes that have not passed on Curve. And that's the consensus of the user base or the owners. The owners. I found the behavior of the owners very rational. So that's very nice. It's been very refreshing, and this has been quite an enjoyable bear market thus far. I got 2 limit orders open for Curve at 97 cents. I don't know if it's going to hit. It was down at like 97.1 cents, and of course the damn limit orders didn't hit. TWAP on the 30 men, wicking below, wicking below, wicking below. Looks like a nice flag to me. It's a good flagpole. And that's a 15-cent flagpole nonetheless. So I like what I see. I'm going to bump my position about 50%, a 50% bump in the curve position. I prefer not, I'm not going to do a market order. Maybe I'll set a limit order at $1 and call it a day. But I don't want to deal, I've been training myself to do less market orders and much more limit orders. I don't want to deal with any slippage. I want a particular rate. You're going to give me that rate or I'm not going to take the trade. So limit orders I'm much appreciating, and Rook's great for them, and 1 inch is great for them for limit orders. Let's go through some commentary. We'll look at a couple of other charts. Convex obviously had a massive rip yesterday. That was nice. Convex gives you your yield on the voting bribes for Curve. They've significantly reduced their incentives. They were at 12,000 for a while. I'm hopeful to see some additional incentivized voting. Not going to complain about this. It's ridiculous incentivized voting. And I had the daily locks open. I don't know if this is going to load. But the locks the last week have been insane. So there's been significant circulating supply disruption for Curve that went straight into CVXCRV. So it's permanently disrupted. It's not even like it's the point of Convex. It's just a rolling lock. It's not even VE Curve that you can unlock after 4 years. But anyone who locks in VE Curve, it's basically permanently disrupted. No one in their right mind is going to sit on a VE curve position and let the VE. So over time, your VE curve decreases, and eventually it'll be 1-to-1 with curve, and then the curve you could withdraw. But nobody's going to sit on that shit, letting it just melt for 4 years. Anyone who locks VE curve, they're just perpetually locking. So V curve is basically a permanent supply disruption in almost all regards. Let's go through some comments. This screen is useless. Let's pull up Convex while I talk. Tapsy's in the house. The rational stream more. Thank you. I try my best. Rational means everything to me. Crypto Jake, it's a pleasure. Raul, Zoidberg, Crypto Tube, Tapsy. For the first time, I plan on acquiring Ethereum for the reasons you mentioned to pay for things during the coming cycles. Sure. So you need cash to pay for things. There's plenty of people that want to accept Bitcoin. There's plenty of people that want to accept Ethereum. You need Ethereum for gas. So you need to have some of it. Doesn't mean you have to have 20% of your portfolio in a currency to pay for things. You want to own things that pay you to own them. You have income, and that income pays for things. Money makes money if deployed. And you own not just assets, but enterprise. So we want to own enterprise that pays us currency, be it Ethereum, Bitcoin, or dollars in the form of stable coins, which you can easily pay using a debit card. Dudes and dudettes, I made a $6,700 debit card purchase yesterday. That was awesome. I was surprised it worked as seamlessly as it did. I mean, literally 2 minutes. Ethereum transaction sent over the USDC, topped up the debit card, paid with the debit card, worked like a charm. That was actually pretty cool. John's in the house. A pleasure. Dan, good afternoon. No apologies. Missed it. I talked about Aura Balancer. You could refresh towards the beginning. Um, no need to recap. It was it's a great topic, and that's why this stream is here. A lot of people asked about Balancer and Aura over the weekend, and we obviously saw some very nice bottom bounce price action on Convex. Now this will drive people mad. I mean, what are we looking at? Shopify here? um, but you really have to understand what it is and why it is. And obviously, if you bought at $60, $75, folks got hurt. And this goes into a very different aspect of taking positions. Why are you taking them? When are you taking them? Are you FOMOing? Entries are impossibly hard. It's a wonderful time to buy an asset that was $75 that has meaning, that has federation, that has enterprise and is cash flow positive and contributes to all this wonderful economic activity that didn't exist years ago. Don't buy it up here, you buy it down here. And how do you know not to buy it up here? You don't buy it up here because it was raging in 20. Everything was raging. This was the heat of irrational exuberance. And that's not when you buy. You buy when everyone is left. Look how many people have left. Look how many people have left the Discord forum. Look how many people have lost money buying absolute garbage. Look how many people don't talk about crypto anymore or embarrassed to talk about their losses. I'm not embarrassed to talk about my losses. At the worst, I was down maybe 85%, 87%. I'm right now down about 80% from all time high. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful for this experience. Absolutely grateful. It's been a wonderful success since some of the initial positions. Largest amount of capital I ever deployed was December of 2019. Had a fraction of this in 2016 and 2017. Small, it was very small. I didn't have much money back then. I was a different type of employee. I was a different type of adult. I didn't have kids back then. And now I did have kids. My daughter was very young. My first daughter. My second daughter was born in 2018. In 2019, it was dead. December 2019 was completely dead. I had no idea what was going to come with DeFi. It's been a hell of a learning experience over the last 2 years. Wild. And relative to that, I'm in a wonderful position. I made great choices over the last 2 years. Now, what do I always say? We could have done better. So down 80% right, a little less now that the market's bumped a little bit, probably down about 78, 77% from all-time high. And I'm grateful. Very, very thankful, very, very humble. I've been able to help people. I've been able to send some money overseas, help charities, pay bills, take care of my family. It's from cash flow because this is better dividend than any REIT pays. Much better dividend than any REIT on the damn planet pays. Most remarkable assets. And I obviously try and stay away from a shill fest, but like I'm talking about what I do, why I do it, and the portfolio that I have. And not the expectations that I have, but literally just what we're experiencing today. I mean, last week, didn't we just get a 1.8% payout on base VECRV? In 1 week, if you had $1 million position in VECRV, you got $18,000 in 1 week. That's crazy. That's wild. Mary's in the house. Balancer, great tech. Yes, Balancer's cool. Balancer is very cool DEX tech. So look, are there protocols that are more meaningful than Bitcoin? Sure, Digibyte's better than Bitcoin. Is there protocols better than Curve Tech? Sure, why not? I mean, Balancer offers something that Curve doesn't. Does it mean that the Bitcoin is going to be disrupted? No. Does it mean that Curve's going to be disrupted? No. So lendiness means a lot. Does it mean like is Lyft going to disrupt Uber? No. Is Apple going to disrupt Microsoft? No. Oh, shit. Folks think Apple's the biggest? No. Folks think Apple disrupted Microsoft? No. Microsoft still completely owns corporate America. They were never, ever, 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 ever disrupted from their core business model. So, I think that's a lot of misconceptions about what Apple is and, oh, the iPhone. I don't know. I don't use iPhone, so I don't know. I'm just saying. Just saying. Peter, hi Noah. Good to keep the macro front and center. Yeah, it's this thing that's going to cause the Fed to pivot in the next couple months, maybe towards the end of the year. Lou Groman says Q3. That thing's wild at $107. The last time we so folks have said 2020, 2002, but I would say on the upside 2000. So we're in 2000 territory. April 2000. And this was just when everything was completely collapsing. It's so different now. Equities have already collapsed. They have front run the dollar rip and the collapse of foreign fiat. It's the euro and the yen on the DXY that are completely getting trashed. It is a very interesting macroeconomic story. I've been listening to so many macroeconomists. It is complicated. It's all about natural resources, all about energy, and all about sovereign security. What a mess the ECB has. What an absolute mess if you compare the way their currency is handled. Uh, it's because it's not centralized. It's because every country has their own currencies as well, and the ECB doesn't really. It kind of coordinates everything, but it doesn't. So what are they going to do? Buy bonds in the north from the south to balance the spreads? What an absolute mess! Isn't that kind of yield curve control? North help buying the south, and I don't know. It's just an absolute mess how they're going to be able to stabilize the euro. And as the euro falls, the yen just completely out of control. Dollar gets stronger. And as the dollar gets stronger, it's going to put significant pressure on the capacity for the U.S. to finance things. And they'll just have to, it's just going to dry up liquidity further. And they're going to have to release the liquidity cannons. Cue the liquidity cannons. Y'all know what happens when they cue the liquidity cannons. We'll see it on TV one. So everyone always asks, when will you know? You'll see it. You'll see it on TV. Sometimes the liquidity cannons come with some sort of critical event, like September 2019 or March of 2020. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes we'll see. We'll see here in Fed meeting minutes. We'll hear Jerome say, "Oh, everything's looking all right. We don't have to raise rates anymore." Boom! There it goes. There it goes. The second they don't have to raise rates anymore, it means what? It means the market tightened for them, and they don't have to tighten anymore. It means they're also probably late, and they should have already loosened. And it means economic activity is rolling over. Now we're talking about like Stephen Van Meter, Jeff Snyder territory, where the system is rolling over. The system is deflationary. The system is deflating. Economic activity is contracting. And these boys are still raising rates. It's the same fucking mistake they made in 2020 and 2021. They kept the rate zero. Why the heck weren't they raising rates into the market insanity? Why not? These literally they operate like five steps behind. Why don't they operate in front? They should be cutting rates now. And then when the market's hot, they should be raising rates. They were literally raising rates with the shit falling apart. My God. I should get you a curved baseball cap, Kaysen. Thank you. I actually appreciate that. That's pretty cool. Trying to find a CVX entry this bear, very tempted. We'll wait, but still, yeah, over on the forum, I did a $4 limit entry. And I did exit at $5.40. It ripped to almost $6. It ripped to $6 actually. That was 6. So that's cool. I could have snagged a couple extra bucks, but I don't mind. So I only have spreads on. I can only do the daily. So look on the spreads, you got these nice gaps. Looks like this gap is holding as a bit of resistance. Looks like we got the 50 SMA a little bit up ahead on the daily, about 675. We'll see if we get above that. Hard to get an entry right about now. You want to wait for a TWAP entry. So in the 30 min, oh, my 97-cent limits are not clicking. I'm quite disappointed. I'll probably just up the limit to $1 and call it a day. Because if it's at $1, that means it's already broken out. So I like that. That's actually pretty good. And I know how productive it is. I know what the base VE curve revenues are. I know what Convex is throwing around. Convex should keep throwing around their incentives for base VE curve, albeit less and less, but that's okay because I expect Convex to appreciate. So it's a nice flywheel effect, which is what everyone's now talking about with regard to aura and bow. But that flywheel already exists. And I believe Frax is just getting their whitelist because you know what happens when they get their whitelist. There goes FXSCRV. There that goes. Maybe they'll keep it internal and they won't even expose it, but that's an interesting one. Um, Raul, do you think Curve hits a bottom a couple of weeks ago when it was around 55 cents? You'll only know in hindsight. All I know is I grabbed was a 20% position bump at 66 cents. I was the psychopath. I bought here. I bought right before this little rip. I bought on the 30 min. I bought on this bar down. June 22nd. This must be where I bought because I bought at 66 cents. So that was a nice portfolio bump. Could have bought cheaper, 53 cents. I don't care about catching bottoms. I care about knowing that it's not going to go down further. If it's not going to go down further, I have no interest if we're in a bull market necessarily. I just care that it's not going to go down further. I don't even care if it's going to appreciate. As I said, I don't care if curve remains $1 for the next 20 years because I know what kind of transaction volumes the protocol is going to do. So there's a whole different train of thought that's required to process this type of asset in a portfolio as compared to a person that's like, is Bitcoin going to go up in price? No, I don't give a shit if curve goes up in price. All I care about, not really, even if it goes down in price. The only reason I get frustrated if it goes down in price is because I could have owned more for the same amount of dollars. How about that? Hope that helps, Raul. Joe, Biffy. Good old Biffy for beefy finance. Opinion on Euro C. Yeah, cool. That's cool. We'll see what Circle comes up with in that regard. They're going to have trouble getting that thing across Europe. All those sovereign regulations across all those nations. It's going to be complicated, but obviously it's available locally. But I don't see why. But bear in mind that plays into Forex. So that plays into transaction fees and people playing Forex markets in a decentralized fashion, on-chain fashion. So that's cool. Doesn't mean much to me. I don't want to trade Forex. This is not when you think the euro makes a bottom and you're going to long the euro. Yeah. Jason, Microsoft made so much buying Apple stock. Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Look, a little Federation action, right? Heard a macroeconomist suggest that housing prices will be lowest when rates lower, but banks still aren't lending. Of course, banks are lending. Banks are, well, not lending with regard to monetary velocity, but you can get a mortgage. You just need a 750, 800 credit score and willingness to pay 6% on a 30-year mortgage, which is an absolute ridiculous number. So if you had got a 30-year mortgage at 3% and compared to 6, you're paying twice as much. I don't know. It's crazy. I don't know who would buy a house in these conditions. I wouldn't. There was a time when I wouldn't. I would. I don't know why people subject themselves to such debt. When we know how people live in other countries. I don't want. I don't want to get geopolitical and stuff like that. But we know how much poverty people live in other countries. So where's the poverty in a 1-2 bedroom apartment that's renting it? It's a dream. We live in dreams. We need to be more humble. We need to be more appreciative of what we have. I mean, we were literally talking on YouTube about financials when other people have to go to work. So we need to be more humble, guys. Dylan, they made Euro C just in time for it to be pegged to USDC. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out. Greetings from Cape Town. A pleasure, Fred. A pleasure. Always a pleasure. Small world. I love our community that we built over the years. We're going to wrap it up for today. Let's look at NASDAQ. I don't know. I wouldn't buy this stuff. Wouldn't buy this stuff. What else we got up here? 10-year bonds bouncing on this line. Oh, my God. I don't care what anyone says. The fact that there's one, two, three instances of support on this trend line? Come on. What a structural thing. Even if it falls below it, even if bonds rip to the upside, the fact that support was expressed on that trend line, crazy story. I think it's just meaningful from a technical perspective at minimum. I got Aura up here. We'll take a peek real quick. Buck 45, good to see. Ascending triangle, no doubt. It literally hasn't broken trend at all, but we've seen appreciation and then it rolls over. So we've seen it time and time again. We saw stuff like this on Beats and obviously Solid League. It was a fucking shit show, but that's another story. This is a common pattern, and it may roll over. It may not. I don't need. So my sentiment is I don't need exposure to a brand new asset. I don't need this kind of exposure. Albeit I do have. I have a 10,000 vote locked aura, but I don't need more exposure. So I'm probably not going to be taking on more exposure. I'm tempted for more V bow, vote locked V bow, but I'm not going to opt for that exposure either. I have a small size position. Probably going to just want more curve. That's my sentiment, and that's what I'm doing. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if that makes people confused. I don't want to encourage people to do anything. You all have to live with their own shit. We all make our own bed, mistakes and all. And we all will look back in hindsight to see how well we did in the coming years. Wednesday, July 6th at 12:41 p.m. As always, it is a pleasure and an honor to talk to everyone to help us all do a little bit better next time. I will catch you all. I should be on Friday. I can't promise I'll be on Friday. If anything, I will definitely see you guys next Monday. But as always, tell everyone to subscribe. And After Party is always on Discord for the most rational community in the entire crypto space. Appreciate everyone on there because I know together we can do better. I will see you all next time. Peace.